right, we're glad to have you back. The spate of air incidents in Nigeria in the last few months has become a source of worry. No fewer than 3 local operators, Dana Air, Delta Airlines and Arik, have been in the news for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely. Now, from exit door falling off the aircraft on landing to runway overshoot after runway contamination, Dana Air has been atop on the list of incidents. Now, as a result of this, President Muhammadu Buhari ordered a full probe of Dana Airline.
Now, the House of Reps has also set up an ad hoc committee to probe the airline. Industry watchers warn that the frequent incidents, if not checked, would erode public confidence over the integrity of the local aviation sector and safety aboard the aircraft flying in the Nigeria airspace. Well, we have, the chairman, Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association. We're expecting him to join us on the show this morning. But right now, we have Liberos Oshoba, who, well, should be able to give us the legal angle of all of this. And of course, added to the fact that you are a flyer yourself.
Absolutely.
Good morning. It's good to have you on
Thank
the
you
show
for joining
today.
us.
Yeah, good morning.
This near mishaps that we've recorded, about 3 so far, Dana Air, Arik, and of course Delta Airline, that's not even a Nigerian airline. Enough reason to begin to be worried about the safety of our airspace.
Basically, it boils down to the regulations of the air safety operators and how they view these the method of operations in the local or international, flight operation system in Nigeria. And if the operators take your regulators seriously, most of the things that are happening now won't even be happening. Okay. And there have been, issues of areas where you find out that in the first place, take Dana for example, after that crash, a lot of people were worried why, the clearance all of a sudden that the thorough,
many of us actually decided to start traveling by road. But you know what? I actually brought this in. This is not what we're discussing with you. I'm sure you know that. I just wanted to get something. But of course, we're still coming back to that particular issue.
Yes.
Right after we discuss the issue of land use charge, LUC. Some people think Lagos is making itself look really, really bad with coming up with this one. All right, but let's go this way. The Lagos state government has reduced the controversial land use charge that has stirred the anger of property owners in the state.
Well, now, this was made known at an inter-ministerial press briefing on Thursday. Correspondent Adidoja Salam Adeniyi has more.
The fallout of the revised Land Use Charge Law 2018 and its implementation attracted the 13-member Lagos Executive Council at this briefing. It is coming after several meetings and dialogue sessions with stakeholders, including the organized private sector, Nigeria Bar Association, real estate investors and developers, landlord and resident associations, civil society organizations, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, among others. Their interactions formed the subject of extensive deliberations at the meeting of the Lagos State Executive Council on Wednesday, March the 14th, chaired by Governor Akinwumi Ambode himself. Commissioner for Finance, Akinyemi Ashade, outlined the reduction in levies.
A commercial property valued at 20 million naira, which was earlier billed to pay 91,200 naira per annum, will now pay 45,600 naira per annum. 2. Property occupied by owner and third party, and property used for industrial and manufacturing purposes. These categories of properties will now enjoy 25% discounts. This means that a 20 million property expected to pay 30,720 naira will now pay 23,040 naira per annum. Owner-occupied property. This category of property will enjoy 15% discount. For a 20 million naira property, this used to be 9,120 naira. Now it is 7,752 naira per annum. Number 4, the penalty regime for late payments of LUC has been waived completely. And we're happy to introduce installmental payment system.
The Lagos State House of Assembly would have to also review and pass the following regulations. the regulation for review of applicable rates and regime of reliefs on categories of properties pursuant to land use charge law, the regulation for a framework for self-assessment.
The law also provides for a mediation process. The mediation process says that aggrieved taxpayers have 45 days to exhaust that mediation process. I must say that there's already a mediation center already in place in Ikeja, and experience has shown that 80% of the issues that arise from bills are solved by mediation. Therefore, mediation centers would also be established in those other 4 administrative divisions of Lagos State to ensure that taxpayers have an avenue to get their issues solved promptly so that they can get on with their business.
Consequently, as a result of these new measures, those who have paid the original amount will be awarded tax credits to the extent of the excess amount paid and carried forward to next year. Adedoja Salam Adini, TVC News, Lagos.
That's the development, but
Yeah.
many Lagosians, especially property owners, are still not happy.
Yes, indeed, and the organized private sector, including lawyers. And we have a lawyer in the studio.
There is a planned protest anyway coming up.
Liberal Soshoma, of course, is with us in the studio to look at this one. Look, let's even begin with exactly what the Lagos State government had in mind coming up with this LUC. About 4 of them, and I'll just breeze through very quickly. To repeal the obsolete LUC law of 2001. 2, to standardize the practice of property valuation. 3, to ramp up enumeration across the state. And 4, to bring more properties into the tax net. What is wrong with these objectives?
All of them faulty. From the first one, the law repealing an obsolete law. Is the law truly obsolete? Apart from
A law that
the
has
charges,
not been put to use at all since how many years? 2001 to 2018.
the law has not been put to use.
That's
Lagos
what
State
they're
government
saying.
have been collecting land use charges since that law was passed by previous administration, the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So Lagos State government have been collecting land use charges. Go ask property owner, go ask tenants in Lagos, and they will tell you that they have been consistently paying land use charges. They have offices everywhere, zonal offices, local offices, state offices. So it is not true that that law had not been.
Meaning
It
that
is also not
amendments
true,
Or not true
that
that it
the
is obsolete.
law is obsolete. What
okay.
they just wanted to do is to, the part that is obsolete to them is the fact that, oh, look, we need to collect more money. And that the law had not been reviewed.
Yeah.
But nobody is asking, why did the previous government not review those laws?
Okay, why?
Because, not review those payments, because they know the hardship the people are already facing, and then also they know that it is the cost of production in Nigeria is astronomically high, and so that's why also it's discouraging.
Landlords don't
Excuse me,
consider-
wait. It's discouraging manufacturing also, and in manufacturing, in production, one of the first factors you consider is the cost of land.
Yeah.
And so they looked at all of this and decided, look, there's need for us to rather increase the tax nets and find a way of providing job opportunities for more people, so that the more jobs that the people have, the more taxes they are able to collect. But now, in this government's desperation to collect revenue, not minding the
Is
state,
it desperation
economic,
to collect
it's
revenue
desperation,
or
they said it.
desperation to close the $50 billion infrastructure gap?
No. Because if you want to close the gap, what you should do, what did the previous government do? What did they do? You find a way. You have so many people who are taxable but not paying. How do we encourage them to pay and not to overburden those already paying? How do we ensure that we provide jobs also? How do we ensure that we provide housing so that people can afford? Because a situation where government is not providing, you leave the people whose welfare is primarily your responsibility. You leave them at the whims and caprices of property owners. Even in spite of the fact that you made laws saying property owners should not increase rent beyond a certain percentage. you know. So, because forget the fact that you're saying it is easy for government to tell you that it is the property owners that are going to pay. How many property owners actually pay land use charges that do not transfer it to the end users?
Okay, but let's look at the benchmark. Let me just come in. Let's look at the benchmark the government has said. It's 20 million, for example, 20 million naira.
How many properties in Lagos have 20 million?
Just an example.
Living lands. How many? Even government houses, 3-bedroom flats built by government. How many of them are selling for 20 million? You have 49 million. In those in Mushin sells for between 15, 18, 20, 20 something million. So how many of such flats, not to talk of, you know, even lands in Lagos, if you do perfections with Lagos State Ministry of Lands with and Survey, even the way they value these properties, they have their own valuation. Okay. So irrespective, the price of the property is strictly for the purpose of what's the name of this tax now? If I remember, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have, for the purpose of percentage, consent fee, assessment fee, they have their own valuation. Okay. And so those fees for them are static. And not too long ago also, they increased the price of survey. Survey that used to be 120, 130, now it's about between 400,000, 600,000, 800,000 to as high as 1 million, depending on the side of Lagos that you live in. And I also can tell you for free that it is not enough for you to say you're increasing the rate and you say you want to capture other properties that are not captured. They have enumerators that go around daily, and they have photographs. If you go to their website, they have photographs of almost all these houses, whether new or old. So all you need to do is to just include these new ones in your scheme and send your assessment. So you don't need to overburden the ones that are already paying to say,
but
look,
the
you're not paying enough.
is saying that this is going to be progressive, really. I mean, where the poor will pay much less than those who are, you know,
what's the less here?
Even
the assessment that they are giving you is 40 from the world. Initially, the one they came out with was, well, if you're paying a property of for a property of 20 million, you're going to pay. Initially, they came out with
91,200.
No, that was after a lot of people have sat down to question that mathematics, and then also, oh, look, we've corrected it to
46,000,
91,000, and then for owner occupier. We have a reduction of 50%.
45,600.
To 45,600. That's for 20 million. But if the house, because like I told you, even the 20 million itself is 40. Because even if you go to Mushin, you go to Alagbado, it is difficult for you to see those assessments. And so for a proper, the increment, let's talk about the percentage. Okay. The increment actually is about 400 to 500 percentage. And so, if you were paying 100,000, for example, with an increment of about 500%, just do the mathematics. So forget all of this noise. And then, like, government forget that we have history. If you remember the history of fuel price adjustment, they jack it so high, and then when people complain, they pretend to be benevolent. To say, okay, look, we've reduced it 50%.
So
meanwhile, in actual sense, that's where they wanted to go. But what we are saying, even with the consultation that they said they've consulted, it shows that it was faulty. The enactment of the law itself was faulty. The robust opportunities for consulting, for stakeholders' input, for public hearing was absolutely missing. That's where also they have admitted, now we are consulting. And I can also tell you for free that members of the MBA Ikeja branch that protested, that the government said they met with MBA. And if you're meeting with MBA, which MBA will you meet? Is it not the local branch in Lagos? No members of the MBA were present at that meeting. I have heard them. These are my colleagues and I've spoken with them. And so, why don't you suspend the application of the law, go back to the old law that have been in operation, and do a wider consultation?
Can this be tested in courts, really? First
Definitely.
Because there's a requirement before you pass a bill into law. It's supposed to be
they will always tell you that, oh, there was public hearing, and, you know, because what they do at public hearing, It's to look for some people who will do their bidding. And I was ashamed when I heard some elders, you know, going to the governor to say, yes, we accept, even when they don't pay, we accept this amendment, and it is very good for Lagos. And, you know,
because Lagos state government seems to be explaining it better now, so that people are beginning to understand, okay, yes, it actually makes sense.
Even before the explanation.
Yeah.
Even this adoption came before the explanation. You know, it's typical. You look for some elders, you know, bring them together with TV cameras and say, look, we adopt this person for second term. In adopting, we also adopt this. Look, we need to, if you want to, democracy is about the people. And if your laws will further impoverish your people, whose welfare is your responsibility, you need to have a rethink. Yes, you want to make Lagos a mega city.
Yes, people will tell you, hold on, Liberals, that, look, governance is not a popularity contest.
Exactly,
right?
but in the same vein.
It's about the people. But then sometimes again, it's about the people. But then again, sometimes you want to do the right thing for the people to make omelette.
It's not a 100-meter dash. It's a marathon. And in marathon, you don't say you must. The speed you use in marathon is not the same speed you use in 100-meter dash. That's why you need to take it step by step, gradually. And let
me ask you a question quickly.
Yes.
Apologies, let me come in here. Would you say right now, here, the Lagos of today, that the present administration is doing very well in the aspect of infrastructure development?
Look, let me tell you.
Yes or no?
It's only a yes or no question. When trees falls on trees, first the top must are removed.
All right, okay.
In aspect,
because that is the reason. It's wants to provide world-class
infrastructure. It depends on the area you live in.
Okay.
It depends on the area you live in. And so, I am not one to praise a government for building roads, because that's your responsibility. Okay. And it is not your money. It is the people's funds that we're talking about here. And so, if it's the people's fund that you're using, we should be asking questions during campaigns. You say you want to build roads. How much is available for building roads? And how much is available for paying salaries? So not when you come and say, oh, I didn't know there was no money, and so I will have to ensure that you pay more. You pay through your nose for me to be able to provide these roads that I promised you. That's why in saner societies, what they do, taxes is part of campaign. Are you going to increase taxes? Where are you going to get these funds from? But we don't ask those questions. And then the governor just come, you build 1 or 2 roads, and so a performing governor.
You need to
and then the next thing he says there's no much money.
You need to recognize our peculiar situation.
The peculiar situation is the lifestyle.
Does not want to pay taxes.
Yes, I agree. You know why? That's why I'm going to. The lifestyle of government officials in Nigeria, it's not also in tandem with what ought to be the lifestyle of average government officials in democracy. And so there is no mutual trust. Have government been able to plug those loopholes? When a man who could barely feed himself becomes a councillor and now he has 3 cars with retinue of officials, you are paying from government fund. You're paying from taxes. And the people are seeing this. And then you tell them, for me to provide infrastructure with the lifestyle that you're living,
but don't you think the Lagos state government has earned some level of trust from?
Yes, they have, and so that's why they should not destroy it with what they are doing. Lagos before now has been the mirror for other states to copy, but don't be too ambitious. Being too ambitious also will rubbish all the good work you've achieved from 1999 till date.
Let's put this in clear perspective. You just talked about ambition now.
Yes.
Is it about the government trying to achieve a lot within a short period of time? Yeah. That, yes, what she's doing is right, but the time is too short, and then the people cannot
it's about the government getting its mathematics right.
Okay.
It's not about, oh, we want to achieve so much. You can't build a 25-story building in 3 months in Nigeria. Only the Chinese can do that. You know. And so, in wanting to achieve that, you can't achieve that with 1 year's budgets. You know, there are benchmarks. And so also, you also need to look at the source of the financing. The people that this money is coming from. I've not seen anybody in Lagos, except those in government now, political office holders, who will not complain publicly, but in private. including those that were in government before. If those in government now were not part of government, they will complain too the way I'm complaining.
Are you saying that Lagos State government is in a hurry to achieve this smart city? Because we had the commissioner for information
about
here.
smart city.
He said, look, I asked him a question about, mega city, and he was like, look, we've even gone beyond mega city. We're talking about smart city here.
We have not even gotten to mega. I don't talk of smart.
Yesterday
I was in Idimu.
ICT, technology, infrastructure. A lot goes into achieving the smart city. If you go to Rwanda, you see what is happening there.
Exactly.
Electricity and all that. And don't you think, really, where do you want the government to make money from?
Where do they start?
If you want to benefit, you have to put in something as a citizen.
The first step should be, how do you ensure that the citizens, because it's the people you're collecting from, a man who is already down, do you need to overflog him because you want to give him infrastructure? Or do you need to ensure that you help him rise up a little bit and now say, okay, now that you can take steps, let's see how we work it together. That's the idea. I went to Ejigbo, Idimu, and all those areas yesterday, and I was asking the question. When you come to Victoria Island and the rest, you can say, oh, yes, Lagos is working. But when you get to some of these areas, you weep. I had a friend who was complaining about having to move from, what's this area close to Badagry, to the island. And he didn't have any reason to leave his old house. But because of infrastructure, he had to move. And he just felt it wasn't right. So when we talk about mega city,
that's what the government is saying. Look,
that's what I'm saying.
To fix this. We want Idimu to be like Victoria Island. As a matter of fact, Ambode said, are we sounding like we're supporting Ambode here? Look, the point is, Ambode said, look, I want the whole of Lagos. I want the whole of Lagos to be like Victoria Island, to be like Ikoyi. There's a $50 billion infrastructure deficit going on.
Which we cannot shy away from. If you go to Agege, Alagbado, Command, Bega, Ladipo, different areas in Lagos, not because you're holding brief for the government,
first and foremost,
but because of what you can see.
You can hold brief, is your prerogative.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you have a budget deficit or infrastructural deficit. What are the reasons for those deficits? How are your people, like I consistently mention, whose primary responsibility is your welfare, whose welfare is your primary responsibility? How are they faring?
What are the reasons for the infrastructure gap? Let me just let me help you out with what Lagos State government.
To a man who is hungry.
Yeah, liberals. Okay. The Lagos State government is saying, look, droves of people come into Lagos on an hourly basis. About 800 people coming to Lagos. And they put a lot of pressure on the existing infrastructure. And there's a need to, as quickly as possible, upgrade this infrastructure, provide infrastructure where it is, where it's absent.
I know where you're going to. You've said this a million times.
Gazillion times.
What I am telling you is, now you've expanded the problem, the issues. Why is that massive rural-urban migration into Lagos? That's a national question that the APC needs to address. I'm calling on the APC because it's the government of the day. And Lagos State government also is a part of APC. And so, if there are no infrastructural deficits in all other places, Lagos is the only place you come and you can... I see graduates riding Okadas because of the population. So, they see it as land of opportunity. I see people who live in Connecticut, in America, will not want to.
Well, if Lagos State government is doing this, what about other state governments?
That's what I'm saying. What the government needs to do. So not just APC alone,
but other political parties.
Wait, look, what I need, I'm calling on the APC because they're the government at the center. Now, if it was PDP, I would call PDP. But for now, my issues is directed at the APC. Yeah. We ought to look at how to decentralize governance so that it becomes from top to the bottom. So you'll be able to stem the tide of this rural urban migration into Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt.
But Lagos doesn't have control over that, does it?
It doesn't, but they have a relationship with government at the center. So mounting pressure can go a long way than when you and I mount pressure. They readily have names for us. You know, oh, they've been paid. They are positioned. But let's take the issue back
civil service
to the
states,
issue.
Really. How do you attract investors? How do you attract people coming into your states?
Those states that are civil service states, they have resources that are untapped. They have resources that, if left,
state governments really first off.
If left,
opening up their states.
It boils down to the structure of governance, where the government collects everything at the top and you share. Okay. So it breeds laziness. it breeds laziness, and then it breeds this kind of attitude that Lagos state government is having. Why? You want to provide infrastructure for the people. You are supposed to be their servant. They have sent you. Will it be out of place to say, look, the people are complaining in spite of this reduction, that 200% from 400 to 200 in some cases to 300 in some cases, because it's not 50% reduction across board.
Absolutely
you know,
not.
that it is too ambitious.
Even 10%
It is too much burden on us. And so, why can't you as a leader who wants to, you say you want to buy me a lunch, and you're charging me to buy the lunch for me, and I say this is too much.
That's what they do in some
you say
countries.
I must
They invite
buy
you
you
out
the
for
lunch
parties and then you pay.
immediately. So that's the issue. So allow the
All right, we have
suspension
to
of the
end
law
the discussion here.
and allow a robust discussion. 3 months wouldn't be out
Barrister,
of place.
yes.
Well, of course, just to add here, of course, the Lagos state government is still open to,
Of course, to discussion,
dialogue.
yes.
The OPS has asked for, number one, reduction in both either of the base percentage rate or assessed market value, and these have not been met by Lagos state government. That's what the OPS is saying.
And it's not even, it's
Just
not
to
law
balance
yet
it out.
anyway. They are
It
still,
is,
they are still
it
pushing this. They want to push the amendments to the House of Assembly
House.
for
And
final
so
passage.
sorry, quickly,
The
it
amendments
was
and all that.
shameful also that to tell you how hurriedly this came into being, you include the name of a private company in an act, in a
Only for it
law,
to
a
be
state
expunged.
government.
It has been expunged anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was,
Barrister-
hasn't.
Well, what we're hearing. Barrister Liberos Oshoma, thank you very much for your analysis.
My
on the
pleasure
show.
always.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, very interesting there. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll go back to the topic we were trying to thrash out a little with Liberos, and that is the
Ghana,
aviation
and
sector
aviation
and then the
sector.
problems really bugging it. Stay with us.